Thank you for being here for this announcement of a crucial and what I think is a significant bill. What I think we're trying to do today is take a comprehensive approach with a common sense view at streamlining confusing requirements, enhancing the voter registration database, and establishing clear standards. These are just a few of the ways that this legislation will improve the way we run elections in Ohio. I'm going to take a moment to walk you through these details, and I just want to comment too on the great effort that the Secretary of State's made and her staff. I participated in all of those forums and found a great deal of input from community leaders, advocates, boards, and county officials. Ohio's current voter ID law is one of the more confusing in the country, and this bill simplifies the ID requirements to allow voters to show either a current and valid photo ID or two items that show the name of the voter. This will rightly place the focus on verifying the identification of the voter rather than the address. This bill also deals with Ohio's highest provisional voting rates, one of the highest in the country. The bill limits the reason voters are required to cast a provisional ballot and increase the instances where the ballot is counted. Additionally, this legislation modifies the wrong precinct rule and modernizes change of name or address laws so that these voters no longer will be required to vote provisionally. This legislation also implements a procedure for correcting voter registration errors. It specifies a process for cancellation of voter registration due to death, incompetence, or incarceration, as these cancellations are required under current Ohio law. And it provides for improved enforcement of the Motor Voter Act, which will help standardize the process for registering thousands of Ohio voters. This bill also makes enhancements for statewide voter registration database. It will require the data from the statewide voter registration database will be checked against the data from the BMV and the Social Security Administration as required by Federal Help America Vote Act HAVA. It also ensures that a non-match could not on its own be the basis for disenfranchising a voter. Given the dramatic increase in absentee voting since Ohio adopted a no-fault absentee voting in 2006, absentee voting is a very important process that we should very carefully analyze. This bill offers additional methods for applying for an absentee ballot, including online application. It improves the process for delivering ballots to voters and for accepting return ballots. This legislation also expands the number of in-person early voting locations, and it decreases the period for in-person early voting to 18 days before a general election. As widely reported in past elections and around the county, long lines are serious issues to give attention to. Under this legislation, boards of elections must develop voting machine allocations plans based on historic voter turnout data, changes in registration numbers since the previous election, wait times in past elections, historic levels of absentee voting, and the length of the ballot. These plans must be posted for public comment up to 2 weeks prior to Election Day. Importantly, this legislation includes several cost-saving measures, such as moving special elections to primary or general election days, saving taxpayers an estimated $2 to $5 million per year over a 4-year period, as much as $20 million. In a time of belt-tightening around the state and across the country, this is a valuable common sense provision in the bill. Other cost-saving measures including allowing the use of vote by mail for vacancies in offices for special elections, decreasing the administrative burden on boards of elections by creating an annual vote-by-mail ballot request form. It also limits state-issue ballot language length, creates buying pools for election materials, and implements a voter-centered pilot project. After nearly a year-long process of input gathering and consensus building among top national legal experts, state and local elections officials, voting rights advocates, and elected officials from both parties, this bill is an important step forward for Ohio. More importantly, this legislation promotes greater civic engagement in our elections by making comprehensive, common sense changes to Ohio election laws. Over the period of time that I've been in the General Assembly, I've served on state government and elections, and serving ranking member for most of that period. Currently, I am the chair of the Elections and Ethics Committee. And consistently along those years, we have seen the need to make these streamlined, common sense approaches to making Ohio election law stronger and easier to use by both boards and the voter. And I want to again thank Representative Hurd, our co-sponsors, and the Secretary of State for all the work that they put into it. This has been a long process, but as I said during the latter part of the General Assembly last year, when legislation was brought forward that I thought was rushed and not comprehensive, that we would take the time, listen to the public, listen to the advocates, and put a comprehensive piece of legislation together that would address the problems that we've seen over the years. We have made great strides in the last few years, and with this legislation introduced today, we will continue that process of improving Ohio election laws, and we will see a better product for Ohioans. And